It all started with a small SaaS company in Finland. Today, it's used in over 80 countries around the world. The journey, anything but easy. Lessons learned, key insights, hard-earned experiences. This is the founder's point of view.
Welcome to Founder's Point of View podcast. Today we are going to talk about the board work. So basically, we will talk about responsibilities of the board, structure of the board, and also how does the board work look in practice, right? Sharing some best tips and tricks and so on.
Tricks and tips.
Tricks.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips. Exactly. And during the history of Trustmary, we have had many different structures. We have had the basic, most famous composition where the owners are the board and also the board is the executive group and so on. And then we have had external board members and so on. And also personally, we have had lots of board experience, especially you have experience from the bigger companies and also from the smaller ones and so on. So lots of data and experience around this story, right?
Yeah. I think that we have been involved in more than 10 companies during the years, and we have participated in board meetings as a member of the board and also as a CEO or growth officer.
Yeah, or CFO.
CFO role, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, let's start from the responsibilities. So what is the most important responsibility for
As a CEO, of course, I want to say that the most important responsibility is to support the CEO.
Of course.
And I think that's the number one, because they fire the CEO. That's the official role of the board, and they also hire the CEO if you need it. So that's why I think that the most important role is to support the CEO, that the CEO can do the strategic work with the executive group and lead the company well.
Yeah, exactly. And owners.
That's number one.
Yeah, that's number one. And just to underline, that owners choose this the board. Yeah. So board is also responsible towards the owners.
Yeah. The owners' value.
Yeah.
They need to take care of the owner's value, and that's the one thing, especially when the company is older or the company is a public company listed publicly. So that typically there is the owner's value is discussed more than maybe in a startup. In the startup world, you discuss about the valuation for the next funding round, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, that means something, but we are playing with the high risks, and everyone knows that the valuation in the early stages is not the real value of the company.
Yeah.
But that's the second thing, that the board is of course responsible for taking care of the owner's value.
Owner's value, yeah.
And the third one is a little bit related to that first one, but the third one is to take care of the strategy work, that they take care that the strategy is planned well and it is executed well through CEO. I think that's the third thing, what especially in a startup world they need to take care of.
What does it mean in practice? Because usually the company itself or the employees, they are executing the strategy, and the executive group, which is usually C-level leaders, they are
even named as an executive group because they execute.
Yeah, exactly. And they are like responsible for executing it and like responsible for checking that employees are also executing it. So what is the role for the board? They are watching executive group executing it. Or,
They are watching the CEO as a leader of the executive group and supporting him to or her to do the things well. But especially they are participating in planning and doing the strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
So every year you check for example, we have that summer board meeting with the executive group and the founders where we make a long period strategy.
Yeah,
and
together.
Together, we check that together, the 5 to 10 years, something like that, and then we have the yearly done strategy work with the board. For example, for the next board meeting, we will tell our first plans for the next year's metrics, and based on the metrics, we will start together planning the objectives and the key results for the OKR board.
Yeah, exactly. How about the fourth one?
I think the fourth one is to take care of the funding and the cash flow. That as a board member, you need to be sure that your company is having enough money in the future, enough funding in the future.
Once again, executive group is responsible for that in like weekly level, and in practice they are of course following the cash flows and planning. For example, in our case, CEO and CFO, they are planning the future funding rounds and everything. Then we are reporting to the board, and they are like watching and checking that we are following right plans and so on.
That's true. Because we are doing investment, and the investments we are doing are coming from the strategy we have planned together.
Yeah.
So as a board member, you need to check that all the investments is done right and done well. And of course, those investments also tell us that if we need more money or funding for the future, so we need to take care of. And that is a little bit related to I think that the last key responsibility for that taking care of the risks.
Yeah, risk management.
Yeah, risk management.
Yeah, and those are actually quite important responsibilities for the board, because as some of you may know, board members, they also have like legal responsibilities. So for example, if the company goes to bankrupt, they will check if board members were really responsible for the funding and risk management, and did they take care of those like properly and so on.
Have they done everything related to responsibilities they have? Have they tried to do everything?
Exactly.
That's the thing what they are checking. That.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, those are the main responsibilities. And then if you go to the next part, which was the structure of the board.
The composition.
Yeah. So usually for the startup, the first one is that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 or more owners, and those key owners are also the board members, and they are also the executive group.
Yeah, and also the sales reps and everything. They're doing all.
Yeah, exactly. And then the lines between those different groups, like lines between owners and board and executive group, they are quite transparent.
That's true, and it's pretty hard to do a good board working without having maybe some external persons in the board. So if everyone is everywhere, it's hard to change the agenda and especially change the perspective you are using.
Yeah.
And as long if you are taking care of the weekly problems you are having on everyone's table, and you try to do the board working and try to check the 5 years, 10 years vision or mission or strategy, that's very hard if you try to do everything. So
Yeah.
it is much easier to have a right level when doing the board meeting when there is not everyone involved and someone else, maybe at least the director of the board is coming outside of the company, and
Yeah.
he or she is helping to do the agenda for the meetings and check the strategy work needed from outside of company.
Yeah, exactly. And during the startup journey, there is one quite obvious point when external board member will join, and it is when you if you end up raising external funding, then the funding terms will most likely include term that like the VC can include their own board member, and they will act as external board member and so on. But also it, for example, in our case, we ended up searching external board members long time before we ended up raising money.
Do you remember what was the situation where we decided to start looking for?
Yeah, I didn't actually, but you told me just before we started recording this. So it was when we started going global, right? So when we started going to different markets and so on, and no one of us as founders, we didn't have any experience of going global and going from the USA, for example, which was the first market together with Sweden when we went back then. So we started searching for external members who would have experience of those markets or going global in general.
Yeah, that is the trigger that we knew that no one of us had an experience needed to go global, and that's why we started to look for someone who has that experience, and we started to go through the connections we had, and we sent a message for many people that would you like to have a conversation or discussion about maybe potentially joining our board. We met couple of persons and we had a conversations with them, and then we decided that we will choose 2 people to join our board, and that helped a lot for us. And after that, after the years, I have noticed that maybe that's as a startup, if you need some kind of experience or capabilities you don't have just now at your company, maybe you don't need to find a board member. Maybe the advisor is better option for you. Maybe we could have done it also through the advisors, but in the end, I think that we found great people and great persons, and everything has went well with them. But many times the advisors, the operative advisors, or maybe some strategic advisors is enough, and you don't need to choose the legal board members for your company to get a value from the experience that those people have.
Yeah, exactly.
Commercial break. Trustmary in 30 seconds.
Trustmary helps companies to automate the review and feedback collection and utilizing in their marketing.
We are a Finnish company, but we are already operating in 80 different countries.
Our product is especially designed for the companies doing service-oriented business coming from traditional industries.
If you need any help related to these topics, just reach us out on LinkedIn. We are happy to help.
And now back to the story.
I think it was really good decision to take those external members on board, and also it was surprisingly easy find those, because we contacted many persons and most of them wanted to like continue discussions and so on. So it wasn't that hard what I expected before we started finding those. Also, at least here in Finland, we have lots of kind of associations and that kind of stuff, which can help you to find like external board members
or advisors.
Or advisors, yeah, based on the skills and knowledge you are looking for, and so on, such as was it hallituspartnerit?
Yeah,
board partners.
Hallituspartnerit, for example.
Yeah, and so on. But yeah, it was quite easy, and we had the same board for years. We went through all the cash flow crisis and internalizations and COVID crisis and change negotiations and lots of
Transformation from
Transformation,
PLC to SLG.
Exactly. But as you mentioned, often the help from the board was quite operational. So there were times that advisor could have been enough for us also.
And it may be a little bit easier option, and it is also easier to get rid of advisors than get rid of the board members.
Yeah.
And it is not legally as heavy place to do advisor than work at the board. So that's why it might be even easier to find those experienced people for the advisor roles than for the board roles.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure if you mentioned already, but when we chose those two external people on board, we still had two of the founders on board.
Yeah.
So basically, the balance between owners and the external members was okay for us. And I think that was one of the key reasons the board worked so well.
Yeah, and it is always had, I think that you should have enough interests from the owners, and that's why there should be the founders. But as a CEO, if you are a CEO and you are leading and managing the executive group, which typically consists of the founders, and also you are having those same founders sitting at a board.
Yeah.
Monitoring your work as a CEO, and that is always hard, and you need to be maybe mentally at a high level to that you can switch the hats from the operative work to the board work, and you understand that okay, maybe I need to shut up now, and that is not a good situation to talk about that thing. This a little bit too operative. Maybe we take care of that next week, Monday meeting, not here at the board and everything. So that's a little bit hard always with the startup, and it's easier when you're having an older company, family company, or so on.
Yeah.
But that is something I think that it is always there when you are doing a startup. So people are wearing many hats, but that is something that you need to openly discuss through together, especially with the founders. And that will help you to understand that which hat you are wearing in different places.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what is the typical agenda? You have also with me always when we are doing the board work and we are presenting things for the board. You are not officially the board member, but as a financial officer, you are helping me to go through the metrics and the statistics, and you have seen many board meetings, hundreds of board meetings with me what do you think that what is the great agenda for the meetings? How to prepare for the meetings?
Yeah. So the first key thing is to go through all the most important things between the board meetings. So basically, what happened after the last board meeting, how does the metrics look like, and so on. That's the first part. It's usually some kind of short summary from the CEO and metrics from the CFO and so on. Then we usually go through the OKRs, so we can board can follow
the
and
strategy.
monitor the strategy and how we are executing it. But then there should be also space for ongoing projects or new projects, basically. So it's more like daily things plus projects, right?
Yeah. And I think that the key thing for the good board work is that the director of the board and the CEO is having one-to-ones every month, and they are preparing the agenda together, and the director of the board is leading the process when creating the agenda. I think that that's very important. And of course, as a CEO, for example, I take care of the materials and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sending the materials before the meetings. 1 week, 1 day, it depends that how much material we have
Yeah.
to go through before the meetings. But I have seen that that's a very important thing, that the director of the board and the CEO is doing the preparation together. They are checking the agenda, and then we are that means that we are going to have the right things in agenda also. Not just the statistic and the metrics and the checking the strategic and follow the strategy, but then we can have the other things which pops out when doing the daily and weekly things.
Yeah. That's really important to have all the right things on the agenda, and also going through those key things between the meetings and also metrics and so on. They support the legal role of the board, so we can write down those things on the board notes and so on, and make sure that everyone is on the same page what's happening in the company, and also if someone wants to highlight something or wants to CEO or executive group to dig deeper on some topics and so on, we can write those down on the paper and make sure that everyone is on the same page.
That's true. Okay. Anything else? I one thing also related to agenda. I really like that we have that yearly clock also for the.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We have already planned all those meetings.
Yeah, we have those on our calendar, and
next
we know
12 months.
that when is a board meeting where we are going to check the 5-year strategy, 10-year strategy, where are the meetings where we are going to together with the executive group and the founders doing the next year's plans and everything. So I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And of course, as a startup, you need to be very proactive and reactive.
Yeah.
Reactive. Both. You need to do both as a startup board. And that's why even when you are having those maybe quarterly meetings, that is not enough, but still you have everything on your calendar. That's a good thing, that you know that there's a meeting coming and you can do the preparation for the meeting earlier.
Nothing to add on that topic. Just one thing I wanted to say is that when you as a startup founder think the right timing for having external board members and so on, first focus on the skills and knowledge you are looking for. So if you feel that you would need something more, then it can be right time for consider the external board members. But as you mentioned, it can also be just advisor,
Yeah.
not board member. So first thing, if it's like operational help or like strategical help you are looking for, and then to the decision and start looking for the right people for the board or advisors.
That's all right.
That's all.
That's
Thank
all.
you.
See you on next episode.
See you.